Shalom, Kahalal Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us the truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. I'm the brother Yahshua, back with the World War III daily update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. All right, so we're going to start here at Obadiah 1 and 7, all right? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Who is thy confederacy? Esau, okay? Who are you allying? Who are your allies? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Let's take a look at this in the NIV. Here's the NIV. All your allies will force you to the border. Let's look at NLT. All your allies will turn against you. That's what I'm looking for. So, who are America's allies? And who's turning against them? That's easy. It says all your allies. Who are America's allies? Let's see, Canada, the EU, NATO. It says all your allies. They will help to chase you from your land. Okay. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you and you won't even know about it. Okay. So quickly, before I let the NY prepper bring up a little whatever, I typed in Macron ditches the dollar, okay? And this popped up 14 hours ago. French President Emmanuel Macron calls for independent European stance on Taiwan. Wait a minute. Isn't America about to go to war with China? About what? About Taiwan. How is France calling for an independent European stance on Taiwan, meaning we're not with you Americans? We're gonna have to watch that. What is it? 2 minutes? What else? 5 days. As France's Macron visits China, rebalancing trade ties tops agenda. See, they're moving away from the United States. Going back to what? All your allies will turn against you. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Well, this is just the beginning of that. All right. Saudi Arabia was friends or allies with the U.S. Remember that? 5 days, 3 days. Macron's visit to China. Is the EU serious about decoupling from what? The dollar. America. All right, 4 days, 2 days. Let's watch this real quick. What is this? Okay, wow, that's cool. Slovakia. So, French President Emmanuel Macron calls for independent European stance. Why on 14 hours ago. Here we go.
Europe should emerge as quote-unquote the third pole between...
Started from the top.
And French President Emmanuel Macron has offered a new vision for Europe over Taiwan. Macron, who was on a 3-day visit to China last week, said that Europe should have a policy on Taiwan which is independent of both the United States and China's view.
Yeah, right. You just went to China and you want an independent European stance against independent of China and America? Well, wait a minute. Right? Who are your allies? Not China. What are you doing over there negotiating? Nobody's stupid. We see what's going on. Okay? What is Turkey about to do? This same thing. Turkey is part of NATO. The EU, right, is part of this guy. part of the EU, Macron, France, is calling for the EU to switch it up. No, we're fuck that. We're not walking and gonna be in the middle of this war. All right. Germany is already suffering from the pipelines and da 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 da. All right. We don't want China coming over here. We don't want Vlad bombing and strafing. We're gonna catch it, not you Americans. All right. They know what it is.
And these comments come as the European nation seeks to develop its own relations with China, which are free from influence of its ally, United States.
Its ally, whose ally? Macron's ally. That's out of the scriptures. They're allies. Well, they were. Right now, they're laying a wound under the Babylon right now.
The French president also said that Europe has no interest in fueling the crisis over Taiwan. The comments were made during an interview to European media outlets. Macron added that Europe should emerge as quote-unquote the third pole between the United States and China. He also talked about reducing dependence on the US dollar for betterment of its economy. The comments caught the attention of Republican leader Marco Rubio. Taking to Twitter, Rubio said that it was important to find out if the entirety of Europe supports Macron's views. He also uploaded a video where he appeared to highlight France's dependence on America.
I think this is a good moment for us to ask Europe, does Macron speak for all of Europe? Is Macron now the head of Europe? Is he now the most powerful leader in Europe? Because if he is, then there's some things we're going to need to change. Number one, Europe, including France specifically, has depended heavily on the United States for 70 years for their own defense. In fact, when Macron tried to play global superpower and send troops to North Africa to fight terrorists, he couldn't even get his own troops there. We had to fly them there, and we had to fly them back. He couldn't even get his own troops there. So if they're going to break off on their own and follow Macron's lead, that's going to save us a lot of money.
Now, Macron was just returned from China and received a warm welcome from his counterpart Xi Jinping. During the visit, he held talks with Xi on several important issues, including the Ukraine conflict. Macron's advisor also said that the two leaders held dense discussions over Taiwan.
That's absolutely huge. And we could do the same thing with Saudi Arabia and Iran right now. We could play the same thing, Saudi Arabia and Iran coming together against who? Right? Against the U.S. All right? So let's look at that again real quick before we move on. All your allies will turn against you. Saudi Arabia was the ally of the United States. What have they done? Turned against them. Right? Plotting to deceive and destroy them. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Well, you know about that. You don't know about the traps, the real talk that went on. You're just seeing this, and this is scathing. Look at that. That's scathing right there. That's the handwriting on the wall. Many tekel you farson. All right. So anyway, we won't go into Saudi Arabia. Let's see. Saudi Arabia. Joins Iran. What do we got? A month. Right here, this is a month ago. Iran and Saudi Arabia agreed to restore, that's a month ago. 3 days. Iran, Saudi Arabia take a step closer to repairing time. Who was that at the beginning of that? Was that Xi? No, it's not Xi. Well, there's a representative from China. China in the middle there. Okay? Look at this. China is involved in this. You see this? It's over. China just broke the US dollar. No, not that. That's 2 months ago. Give me something. 3 days. What is next for Iran and Saudi Arabia as nations take Major step towards reconciliation. Do you see that? Saudi Arabia and Iran's foreign ministers meet where? In China, ending 7 years of tensions. Look at that. Okay? What is this? What is this alliance? That's Iran. This is Saudi Arabia. That's Iran. This is Saudi Arabia. And there's China in the middle. What is that? All your allies will turn against you. Your trusted friends will set traps and you won't even know about it, all right? Let's look today. What is this? New York Prepper 1 hour ago. World War III alert. Russia almost shot down British recon plane. What? Britain is like this. Let's get the hell out of there. This ain't our fight. Russian ICBM spotted on combat patrol. They're going to go straight into what's going on. Where? In China. Let's listen to this. Take it away, Brad. Whatever.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg here,
Greg.
aka NY Prepper. It is Monday, April 10th, 2023, and I have a red alert to share with you guys. Hope you guys had a great Easter. So we have a developing situation in Taiwan, and the situation in Ukraine continues to escalate. So I want to just play this video for you. This shows a simulated missile strike on Taiwan. This was released by the Chinese military, and it's just basically an animation showing how China would strike Taiwan with missiles. You can see they have a naval warship here in the Taiwan Strait, and it's launching missiles at Taiwan, and then they have some of these mobile launch vehicles that are launching various types of missiles at Taiwan. Then they also show some fighter jets, okay? So the Chinese military is clearly trying to scare Taiwan. They surrounded Taiwan over the weekend.
This is what Macron this is what Macron is trying to get out of. Look at China. Put this propaganda out there. Here's what we finna do right here. Who wants some of this? They put out this little simulation. You see where this thing is going? Macron is like, we're good. We're neutral. We're going to rethink our stance. And that was out in front. Behind closed doors, they said, what do you need us to do?
With over 70 aircraft and 10 surface ships, including an aircraft carrier. And they were practicing an attack on Taiwan and blockading Taiwan. So, you know, the situation is escalating over there. Here we have a report from a Taiwan news outlet, and this reporter is on a Taiwanese naval surface ship, and he's able to see a Chinese warship not too far away, and he's showing that on the camera here. So the Taiwanese Navy got really close to the Chinese Navy. So, you know, it's a pretty serious situation going on over there in Taiwan. And here we have a video that was released by the Chinese military, and it shows their aircraft carrier here in the center, the Shandong aircraft carrier, and then it has some warships escorting it. But let's just watch this for a minute here.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you.
Salaka. This is good information there, Brad.
So that's pretty much it, just a short clip. So China clearly wants to show their power and, you know, basically threaten Taiwan. And You know, this could be like a warning. Basically, they're warning Taiwan. Very similar to how Russia moved all their equipment to the border of Ukraine a year before they actually invaded. And here we have a press release from the Japanese Ministry of Defense, and I actually translated it for you guys, but it basically details the location of this Chinese aircraft carrier, which you can see right here. This is that Shandong aircraft carrier, and it shows the position of it over the last couple of days. So here you can see these numbers here, 1, 2, and 3. So you can see number 1 is where it was on April 7th, which was Friday, and then number 2 on April 8th on Saturday, and then number 3 here, April 9th, yesterday, okay, right off the coast of Taiwan here, all right? So this is what they said. I translated it for you guys. So they said here that they confirmed several different types of ships. So on April 7th, they confirmed the Kuznetsov class carrier Shandong. They confirmed a Liang 3 class guided missile destroyer. Okay, so China had a guided missile destroyer, a Genkai 2 frigate, and a fast combat support ship. And then basically the same thing on Saturday and Sunday. This guided missile destroyer, the Liang 3, the frigate, and then the fast combat support ship, and then the aircraft carrier on all 3 days. And they're showing the location here from between 230 kilometers to 430 kilometers away from Taiwan. Okay, so you know, pretty concerning, guys. Okay, an aircraft carrier plus a guided missile destroyer. So they would launch missiles at Taiwan with that thing, you know. So pretty serious situation. I wanted to share this video with you. This is a video that surfaced out of Russia, and it shows 3 RS-24 Yars road mobile ICBMs being moved somewhere in the Vladimirsky region, about 750 kilometers from the Finland border. So they actually dispersed these road mobile ICBMs like 2 or 3 months ago. Vladimir Putin dispersed them. So what that means is that normally these road mobile ICBMs, they stay in a base year round unless there's some kind of threat. Then they disperse them so they don't get hit with nukes if there's a nuclear war. So the fact that they disperse them is cause for concern, because it means that Russia is planning possibly to go to nuclear war with us, okay? Now,
And they are, but not just yet, all right? Because we, here at GMS, we understand that the prophecies have an order, okay? So before any nuclear war jumps off, I mean, you might have some small tacticals, but MAD, mutually assured destruction, is not going to take place until after major things happen in banking and financing and receiving certain things in your forehead or in your hand to enable you to make transactions. That has to happen first before this war escalates until we get closer to the end. So everything has a process and order, all right? Let everything be done decently and in order, all right?
everybody was reporting that this was right near the Finnish border. To be honest with you, it doesn't really matter where they move these, because these have a range of 10,000 miles. So whether they move them to the border of Finland or not, it doesn't matter. You know, with these types of missiles, these are ICBMs. So, you know, moving them to the border of Finland is actually not going to really do much.
And that's called nukes in the hood, right? Hey, we're just coming down the street with the nukes. Okay, so knowing that things have order, they're putting the cart before the horse here, right? You get into the ICBM, that ain't coming yet. And plus, right, this is not the major theater of war. Eastern Europe is not. South China Sea is not. The Korean Peninsula is not. Okay, but what is, right? The valley of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat, if you will. Okay, that's the main theater. So my question is, Brad or Greg, whatever your name is, are you going to report at all on what's going on in the Middle East? Let's see. It doesn't look like it. It looks like you're stuck on those two things. What do we have here? Okay. Lithuania. See, you're still in Eastern Europe over here. Belarus. Why are you going around what's going on in the Middle East? Not that he knows anything, right? But here's what's going on, okay? People, right, are going around the major, right? The major war. Not here. This place is going to catch it, right? This is ground zero for nuclear annihilation, right? According to the scriptures now, right? So where is the land of Israel? Where is that map at? See, we're not going to see it. Why? Because that's the main theater of battle, right? The last battle, the Battle of Armageddon. So we're going to cut that short. See, Russia, you talked about Japan, China. You went all the way around that, but you didn't go to where the real war is going on. So what happened yesterday on so-called Easter Sunday? What happened in the Middle East? What happened on the Temple Mount? What happened at the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Where's all that at? Okay, because 3 days prior, right, that was the story, but now it's being quieted, right? What happened yesterday in Israel? Okay, did Israel bomb? Let's see, Israel. I'm just looking. Israel bombs Syria. What is Israel doing bombing Syria 2 or 3 days ago? Let's see if that comes up. One day, Israel, rockets launched from Syria. Huh? What did Israel do in return? 3 days, Lebanon militants fire rockets. Where is this news at? Okay. Dozens of rockets fired from Lebanon into Israel. What did Israel? Here we go. Israeli jets strike Syria after rocket attacks. Okay? 1 day ago. All right? This probably happened 3 days ago. What happened yesterday? Al-Aqsa aftermath. Israel strikes after Syria fires rocket. It was Syria's fault. They fired a rocket. There's a big difference between cruise missiles and rockets. What is a rocket? I used to fire model rockets, right? When I was a kid in the backyard. Come down with a little parachute. That's a rocket. Israel, okay, this is a month ago. I want to see what happened yesterday. Okay? Here's where the conflict is. How come nobody's talking about what's going on here in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia? What is Saudi Arabia about to do? Okay? 7 days. Israel thwarts back-to-back attacks. See, here's the real conflict. This is the real theater of war. We're going to get one precept and we're going to go ahead and close it, all right? Watch Israel's army. Watch Israel army's drones destroy artillery posts. What are they doing bombing Syria? Okay? Here's what's going on. No, nobody's talking about this, right? Not in the mainstream media. They're hiding what's going on over here. All right? Let's get it out of the scripture. Joel 3. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep shining the light on what's really going on over here. All right? Joel 3, the Lord judges the nations. Okay, Joel 3 and 2, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Where is the valley of Jehoshaphat? The Middle East. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat. There will I judge them for harming my people, my special possession, for scattering my people among the nations, and for dividing up my land. What land? Israel. Who divided it? Right? The ones that are going to be judged. Okay? The armies of the world. So here's the story. Not what's going on in Russia or Ukraine. Not what's going on in the South China Sea with Taiwan and China. That's not the story. The story is what's going on in the Middle East. Okay? Why? Because God is the one doing the gathering. This is God's plan. Here, what is God's plan? Well, he's telling you right here, I will gather the army. This is World War III. This is the real World War III. Everything else, right, is a skirmish before what? They get their ass down to the Middle East for the real battle, the Battle of Armageddon. All right? So, whatever this is, well, this is the real. Whatever Greg was talking about, right? He went right around this 2 hours ago, right? Let's look at this.
When she's
Salakia. See, we need this information. So let's bring it up.
Put its forces on high alert after days
And this is a little church channel, CBN.
of Israel has put its forces on high alert after days of taking rocket fire from Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, and for the first time in years from Syria.
Boom. Huh? Why? Why is the Middle East heating up right now? I'll tell you why. Because Saudi Arabia joined up with Iran, which we showed earlier, and all of those brethren, all those Arabs in that area, they're like this, oh shit, it's on. Okay, we got the alliance back. What's our first thing? We got to get these interlopers, Auslanders, we got to get them up out of here. All right? This is what we see. And this is what we see in the scriptures. Escalating attacks 2 hours ago, right? It takes some church channel to bring out the truth about what's going on. Let's watch this again. Here's the real information. Look at that, 444, right? Let's watch this.
Of Israel has put its forces on high alert after days of taking rocket fire from Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, and for the first time in years from Syria. Many experts are pointing to Iran as the source of these escalating attacks.
in response, the United States Navy has deployed a guided missile submarine to the area. Chris Mitchell brings us the latest from Jerusalem.
Okay, now, why is this important? Okay, they said, who's the boogeyman? Iran. Why is Iran the boogeyman? Because now they got Saudi Arabia and came together with them. And all of these little countries that are too weak to fight on their own, now they got some firepower behind them. What firepower? Well, that would be Russia and China coming together with Iran and Saudi Arabia, BRICS. We could go right down the line. That's money and oil and firepower. Who's got the most nukes? Russia. So they ain't worried about no little family feud over in Eastern Russia or Eastern Europe. This is the battle of Armageddon right here.
Of Israel has put its forces on high alert after days of taking rocket fire from Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, and for the first time in years from Syria. Many experts are pointing to Iran as the source of these escalating attacks.
It's Iran.
In response, the United States Navy has deployed a guided missile submarine to the area. Chris Mitchell brings us the latest from Jerusalem.
More than 30 rockets were fired from Lebanon into northern Israel, and at least 6 from Syria. After the rocket attacks from the north and south, Israel hit targets inside the Gaza Strip, Lebanon, and Syria. Many believe Iran is leading this push from behind the scenes.
Just last week, we saw the heads of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, sitting together with the...
Uh-oh. Here's the real story. You understand? This is the real story. Now, the other thing is America is going to go to war with China about China's island sitting right off the shore. That makes zero sense. That makes absolute. So, the United States is going to go start bombing China proper. Why? Because of a little island that belongs to China? That don't make no sense.
Of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut, behind pictures of the imams that lead the Islamic Republic, Khamenei and Khomeini before that. So there's no doubt that it's Iran that is trying on every single front to attack the state of Israel.
Trayman believes Iran is now sensing weakness inside Israel.
The Iranians are looking at what's going on in Israel today, and this includes the debate and the protests over judicial reform, the challenges to the current governing coalition, and are recognizing that this might be a prime time to test the strength and resolve of Israelis here in Israel and to stage attacks.
In an apparent move toward Iran's meddling, the U.S. Navy is deploying a guided missile submarine.
Why? This is Israel's fight. What are you doing going over there? Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Draw who out? The Edomites, the Americans are getting drawn into this thing, are they not? We're watching this. We're watching this. We'll get the scripture and end it after. This is the news right here.
Of carrying up to 154 Tomahawk missiles to the region. It released pictures of the submarine crossing the Suez Canal on Friday. Israel is also reeling from terror attacks inside its border. This ramming attack on the Tel Aviv promenade wounded several and killed this 35-year-old lawyer from Italy. Family and friends mourned 2 sisters after a Palestinian terrorist murdered them in a shooting attack on Friday in the northern Jordan Valley. Their mother, also shot in the attack, is in serious condition. The flashpoint came last Tuesday night when Muslim men barricaded themselves in the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount. Israel police negotiated with them to leave, but they refused. When the police entered the mosque, the men set off fireworks and threw stones in retaliation, and video spread throughout the Muslim world, providing the pretext to attack Israel. The escalating tension here comes as Muslims are celebrating Ramadan on the Temple Mount. Jews observe Passover with the Kohanim blessing at the Western Wall, and Christians gather at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and Garden Tomb to celebrate Christ's resurrection. It's rare to have all these holidays fall at the same time. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
Why did all those holidays fall on this? Because the Most High is gathering the armies of the world where? Right there. The Most High is doing this. He's orchestrating this.
Jerusalem.
You can't get a starker contrast. Here are Israelis praying at the Western Wall, Christians celebrating Easter at the tomb of the Holy Sepulchre. These things are the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. These things are in stark contrast to what the Muslims are doing. They're storing rocks in their mosque, and they're storing fireworks, and they're trying to have provocations, and then they're launching missiles at Israel. And they're doing it and having these consultations with their religious leaders and pictures of previous religious leaders, because their ideology says if they provoke these things, if they come at Israel, they can usher in the Mahdi. They can bring a paradise on earth. And
strong delusion, right? Because Ishmael ain't got next. Moab ain't got next, right? It says, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay? So we already know who got next.
And reestablish Sharia law throughout Israel. That's their goal. And they're taking advantage of weakness, perceived weakness in Israeli politics, perceived weakness in U.S. politics, that we're divided. And when we have these divisions going forward, and they seem to be very severe divisions, well, a house divided cannot stand. Well, let's realize that's what the Bible counsels us. Let's come together as a people, as a nation, and say, no, we stand for democracy. We stand for freedom of conscience. We stand for freedom of religion. We don't celebrate religious holidays with rocket attacks and terror attacks. We celebrate by getting on our knees and pray. So let's do that. In prayer, we can become...
Whatever. Who are you praying to? Not Yahweh Shimon Shai. Anyway, there's the news. That's the news I was looking for. CBN News, 2 hours ago, Israeli forces on alert after Iran suspected behind holiday rocket attacks from Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza. This is huge. This is the news. Okay? Now, let's bring that out. Where is it at? I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Was not America rushing over there with 150 tomahawks in a sub? That's gathering the armies. Okay? And what is Iran doing, supposedly? They're about to arm all of these little countries. Right? Let's get that. And not only that, who's got the firepower? China and Russia, right? Joel 3 and 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Okay, take your gardening tools, right, and make weapons, right? Well, that's what Iran is doing. Iran is working on a nuclear bomb. Okay, let the weak, Lebanon, Syria, Hamas, whoever, say, I am strong. Oh, we're not shooting rockets no more. We're shooting missiles. This is what we see. All right. This is Jeremiah 49. What? Right here. Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord. This is the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shai, his counsel, that he hath taken against who? Edom. Who's over there in the land of Israel right now? Edom. And his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Okay, so the Most High is against Edom. He's against those people that parted his land and appointed it into their possession. Okay, surely the least of the flock, what flock? The flock of Edom, the dukes. It was the dukes. It was the dukes. All right. Surely the least of the flock. Who's the least of the flock? Amalek. Who's in the land over there at the Wailing Wall? Amalek shall draw them out. Draw who out? Did you see that submarine running over there with the tomahawks? That's the least of the flock, the Amalekites, the so-called Israelis, drawing out who? Their brothers. The other Edomites, the other dukes. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. It's going to go bad. All right? Why? Judgment on Edom. Who's judge? Yahweh Shaphat. What is Shaphat, Yom? Judgment. Whose judgment? Yahweh. Yahweh Shaphat. Jehoshaphat. Okay? So this is what we see. we see the troops being gathered in the valley of Jehoshaphat. See them troops running? They were running where? They were running over to Israel or into the Middle East, into the battle. All right, and that's beautiful because we know that the end is nigh. All right, the end is here. Let's get 1 Peter 4. 1 Peter 4 and 7. But the end of all things is at hand. And what is all things? Esau's world, this kingdom. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. Okay? So with that, we'll end it right there. We hope that the elect of Israel, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, Speckled Bird, we hope that you were edified, you brothers and few sisters. With that, shalom.